Hello, everyone. Welcome back once again. We are here for round number 11 of our, of course, 20K modern event here at SCGCON Columbus. Seen a ton of great play, a ton of exciting modern action, and that is not going to stop here. We're about to watch, we've seen the Amulet deck quite a bit. We've seen the Rhinos a little bit. Now we get to see them face off versus each other. Of course, Ethan Dunn, once again, present in our feature match area. Got to see him get it done against Hammer a little bit earlier in the day. Now facing down a deck of a very different texture. We're looking at John Lee piloting Amulet Titan. Jarvis, you're in the seat. Who do you like?
I think game one I like Amulet Titan, and post-board I probably like Rhinos.
Would you rather someone call you?
Okay, just the addition of blood moons and stuff really just gets it done.
I don't know if like
Force of Vigor I think also is a big deal. Subtlety count also matters a lot, because I think a lot of the time in the matchup, Rhinos just needs a one turn to force lethal through. And if you get that time with subtlety, this is like a perfect subtlety matchup, as opposed to versus Hammer. Actually on the back table, a guy I haven't seen in a long time, Dave Shields. If you're a boomer like me, you definitely recognize that name.
Thing where it's
I don't, so I'm not a boomer, so hit me with some lore.
So Dave Shields, he has a Grand Prix win in Dallas. It was the Callblade Teamer Control era, where there were 32 preordains on top 8. I believe he's a big fan of creativity in Modern, so I think that's what's going on in that backup match.
Good luck.
Ooh, maybe we'll get a little bit of that action if these games have been as swift as the other ones that we have seen in our feature match area so far. And I guess to that end, how fair is this matchup? We're talking about, of course, how the One Ring plays in various decks and various matchups. The One Ring has to have some text against some of the Rhinos' aggression plan, right? But also, how relevant is the constructs? Like, how relevant is the fair Amulet plan, just constructs plus One Ring, versus the Rhinos?
I vibe so hard with this hand. I'll keep.
So I think the constructs are not that relevant because you're not going to be able to outsize them to 5/5.
Kind of cringe.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of the relevant bit, right? All right. Now, it looks like the players have started here. Starting off on Sunhome into Amulet of Vigor. Maybe a stomping ground there for Ethan Dunn. Finger light look there. We're gonna zoomed in, and an island to the follow-up. 2-mana active. We're gonna get a little bit of ice action. We sure are. Should bring it back. Jarvis ice the Sunhome. Draw something to go for John Lee. Follow-up looks to be a Gruul Turf picking up that Sunhome. Back to Ethan we go. 3-mana activated. It's gonna be basic mountain for the third land. We making Rhinos now? We sure are. There's Shardless Agent Cascade Trigger. We know what this means. Crashing Footfall is going to be coming through the deck. Finding a copy of that, the only card that we can hit, which of course produces our two Rhinos, the namesake of the deck.
I don't think I looked at Mike's and I just assumed
card called Rhinos.
if
the Rhinos
two people are sharing
represented
a room
what's going on here. Now, turn 3, we got 10 power and toughness across 3 bodies, 8 of it trample, and we are set up ready to go. But John Lee, bounce land in play, Amulet already in play. If we have something like Michael's Gardens into another bounce land, maybe we're just off to the races. We'll see what can be assembled this turn, as the shields are more or less down. Didn't get a look if there's any force action going on, but you know, a lot of the ice and all that kind of stuff that can happen can slow you down. Shields are down on that for Ethan as we go back to Sean's turn.
So there is a card that refers to Rhinos in Crash of Rhinos. It's a 6GG 8/4 Trampler.
Broken. Is that card in the deck? We just get all Rhinos. Get a typo deck going.
It's from either Tempest or Mirage Block.
You're just such a fan of these old cards, these old border old cards. Just get them in the deck. I don't need any of this Modern Horizon stuff. Give me Crash of Rhinos or whatever, not Crashing Footfalls. Sunhome going to be the land for turn 3, mana. It's going to be Azusa. 2 more land drops this turn for John Lee. Let's see what he chooses to do with that mana. Bounce land would only represent... I guess it would represent 4. But we're going to do a Seiju Who Endures into Selesnia's Sanctuary, which is going to untap, pick up the Sunhome. 3 mana left after that. Any follow-up? No follow-up. Over to Ethan we go, with, of course, 10 power toughness in play. Bunch of spells in hand. Wow, we got Subtlety, Force, we got all the works, as here comes 10 power toughness coming across, crashing across the red zone, putting John Lee down to 10, half the life total gone just like that, and we got more Rhinos dialed up, Flame of Anwir, we got it, wow, we got it all.
So the Flame of Anwir's in the main deck, that's interesting.
Shatter the Amulet. Wow. That's pretty good. Flame of Ann, we're going to take care of the Amulet. Back over to John Lee we go. Access to only 5 mana right now. Untapped land like the Sun, we know will be land number 6, but with no untapped, it's hard to really get anything started, and we're still facing down that 10 power and toughness that could be lethal. And we know Ethan's got a subtlety, which is going to be a big problem, as Seiju Who Endures is legend ruled away. I assume a mana floating there for that. Here's 6 mana. There's Primeval Titan. And Ethan very quickly pulling Subtlety to the front of the hand. And Forced Indignation going sideways on that one is going to put the Primeval Titan on top or bottom with this Evoke strategy. Maybe we should call this Temur Evoke. There you go. We'll get Rakdos Evoke, Temur Evoke. We'll just have a whole format of Evoke. How does that sound? Second land, third land are going to be Malekith and Sunhome as we pass back to Ethan. Now, block is going to be forced, not going to be allowed to even happen. Dead Gone. Going to take care of the Azusa and attack. That's going to do it for game number 1. Ethan done a dominant performance over Amulet there.
I don't remember. These were all the blue cards.
Wow, that was a fast one, but this was kind of my point about the Temur Rhino deck. It's once it gets an advantage, it's actually really good at leveraging that advantage into lethal over 1 or 2 turns.
Yeah, I mean, certainly that's exactly what we saw. I mean, not really. We saw the ice, obviously, the tempo play that we've come to see from this deck quite a bit, able to be leveraged into that turn 3 Charlotte Siege, which is kind of best possible, right? Like, the Violent Outburst doesn't really give you that additional power and toughness in order to really make it a 2-turn clock, and that mattered a lot there. He was able to get it done in exactly 2 attacks with the help of some of the tempo plays with Subtlety and ice and all that stuff. And that's very much kind of the power that this deck presents. When you talk about, like, the busted draws from each deck, that was more or less close to best possible from the Temur Rhinos deck.
Definitely agree. We do see Blood Moon quickly reach for it. I think with the addition of Lorien Revealed, it's a lot more easy to stomach something like Blood Moon and Rhinos. Although Rhinos has generally played Blood Moon basically throughout its entire inception.
Yeah, it's just, you know, obviously you play red, fetching 1 basic, you can maybe, like, do a good enough impression. And the theory there, from what I understand it to be, is, you know, it hurts them more than me, and therefore it goes to the deck. But I have seen people board Blood Moons in against Rhinos sometimes, just trying to cheese them. And that's always a wild dynamic.
I think it doesn't work very well versus Rhinos. It used to work a lot better versus Living End. Then Living End gained access to the basic land cyclers, and thinking it no longer works that well versus Living End as well.
Yeah, Blood Moon, I think it's funny to see so much presence, mostly because of Tron and Amulet, because it kind of got a huge nerf because of those land cycles you're talking about. Lorien Revealed, I don't even know the names of the creatures, but the creatures that Living In plays, the Troll and the Elephant, Oliphant, sorry. And being able to find all these basic lands is, I mean, extremely powerful. Obviously plays the Living In's plan great, but like even, like you see, random decks like Team
for the 3rd land or the Cascade card. I think there's I would basically never side out Fire Ice in this deck.
Ever. Okay, wow. Just your best possible, most flexible card, always got to be in the deck, huh? All right. You know, that's new information for me. And, I mean, makes a lot of sense. You know, a lot of times in turn 1 tap land or whatever, turn 2, you know, we saw, like, basic Island Ice. That's got to be good enough to get you to turn 3, which is all you're really trying to do is bridge the gap to turn 3. And, yeah, we saw, I mean, Ethan do a great job of that in game 1. See if he can do it here again in game 2. Of course, going to be on the draw. Maybe it's a little bit harder from that position.
Well,
and we have seen,
I'm hoping for some Lucky Man counters, aka Gemstone Caverns was originally designed as an invitational card for Fujita, one of the really old names of Japanese Magic.
Was this like done with like a deck in mind? Was there like a there's a Gemstone Cavern right there for Amulet type?
No,
wow.
Sure, but one person's Gemstone Cavern is a lot better than the other. Namely, the person who's like,
There's
no way the
it's very symmetrical.
No, I'm saying this is my land for turn.
It's legendary too.
Because I'm on
these would blow each other up.
I looked at my hand and I'm like, why did I not board this out?
Oh no, what a mess. All right, well I guess he chose to be on the play. Joke's on you. 5 counters. That's so many. Proliferating the luck counter, eh? Can't remove that. This Rainforest is going to be the turn 1 play for Ethan, despite being the 2nd land in play.
On play?
And
John,
you can see not enthusiastic.
No, definitely not.
Gemstone Caverns, this island is going to be
That definitely shouldn't have been a much better land there.
I love this. I love this so much. You know, we've kind of alluded, because, you know, I do a lot of CDHing. Gemstone Caverns, really good in CDH where you're on the draw. bunch of the time. And we're going to ice.
Have your clock in play before doing that, but I haven't gotten a clear look at the hand, really.
Yeah, these players have been playing really quick Magic. Hard to get really good looks at the hand as they're flipping through. No deliberation here. They know what they're doing. As Gruul Turf going to come into play. Forest is going to be put into play as well. So now if there's something like a Masayu present in John's hand or a way to find one, we may be good against Blood Moon. I think there's a Dryad, which I think does something against the Blood Moon too, as Kira's Violent Outburst on Instep off of Forest. Gonna start flipping. Of course, this is gonna find a Crashing Footfall. It's gonna get a look at the deck there. Get to see the Blood Moon. Nothing to hide here, as there is Crashing Footfalls. Get to see the Flame of Anwar. That's still in the deck. Crashing Footfalls put onto this stack. And here's 2 Rhinos. Now, notably, only 2 Rhinos. No 2 Rhinos in Shardless. So this is a 3-turn clock, not a 2-turn like we saw in Game 1.
Means that Mute Vault.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, we got to tick up. Yeah, we got to tick up the gemstone. Gemstone counters. We did that. Now it's got 6 counters.
Oh, like look at that.
Let's check it up.
So, I have a question for you. How many EDH decks play Commandeer?
None that I've seen. Maybe one. I think I saw Matt Sperling messing around with it.
So, there's one here, probably as a reaction to the One Ring. Because if you ever Commandeer that thing, it's a huge foothold for you.
Yeah. I mean, suddenly you get it, and then you get the protection, you get the cards back. Yeah, let's get a look at Commandeer. Exile 2 blue cards from your hand. Gain control of target non-creatures. We can't take Primeval Titan. You can choose new targets for it. Yeah, that's a wild one. What's going on? It's just for the One Ring? That's what we're doing with this thing?
Yeah, I believe so.
Wow. That's deep tech. Wow. Well, we'll see if it comes up here. Already at 4 mana. Don't have 2 blue cards to pitch. So, gonna have to do that one manual mode. And there is the One Ring. Would love to commandeer that, I imagine. Not going to happen. Protection from everything online. Follow-up. Going to be a Boreal Grazer.
So some of the Temur Rhinos decks have played Questing Beast in reaction to the One Ring because it gets around the...
Oh, I love it.
Basically, the damage can't be prevented, so you just hit them in the face for a bunch of damage.
Wow. That's... I mean, I don't know. People like to throw around the B word, the ban word a lot. And I don't know at what point the One Ring needs to show up in enough decks and warp the format with play. Like Questing Beast? Come on. This is not a modern power level card. Okay, whatever. Back to Ethan we go. This One Ring card, I tell you what, there's something to it. I think that card might be powerful.
Hold on. You say it wouldn't be modern power level? It would just kill John here because, well, it wouldn't kill him exactly, but it'd be very close to lethal.
Yeah, we got a few blockers. A Boreal Grazer didn't even put a land into play, so definitely respectful to the potential for things like Violent Outburst. And we have protection from everything, so we're not even going to attack this turn. Card coming from One Ring, damage coming thanks to the One Ring as well. Slayer's Stronghold to draw. Looks like we have a Dryad as well. Not a whole lot going on. Another One Ring in hand, so we can re-up on the protection if that's a thing that we're sensitive to. 2 cards coming here from the One Ring. Amulet and Valakut are the finds. Okay, well, we got 2 Dryads. We got a Valakut. Is that something?
Yeah, it looks pretty good here. And I have to be careful exactly what you want to do. It's probably wise to think it all out before you do anything. Obviously, playing the Amulet first is probably correct.
Yeah, that's step 1. We have a bunch of land drops with the Zuza. Slayer's Stronghold is going to get deployed. Is that just a Primeval Titan? Oh, yeah, that's one of the new Primeval Titans. Yeah, okay, yeah. Jam! Slam jam, here's a Primeval Titan, and it looks like Ethan might have just shrugged and said sure.
Yeah. The trigger's on the step.
Okay.
I am...
You're thinking before resolving the trigger?
Yes.
Okay, a little bit of communication about where we're at here. Yeah. It looks like that resolved and there's a trigger on the
because
stack.
I put lands into play and picked them back up.
Okay, so you're not... Oh, no.
Okay.
I thought you're not resolving it yet.
I'm about to resolve it.
I'd like to respond before you resolve it.
Okay. Trigger on second.
Okay, we're responding before the trigger. All right, here we go. Tapping a bunch of mana. Force of Vigor. That's a card you called out as being good. That one can hit the Amulet, but cannot hit One Ring. One Ring is indestructible. So maybe just 4 mana to destroy the Amulet. Still good.
Yeah, so what this does is it buys time versus the stuff dying to Valakut, maybe. Because what you could do is you could get Bounce Land and another tap land. Or actually any 2 lands, really. Cast the Dryad, play another land, shoot something, but... by killing the Amulet there, none of your lands come into play untapped.
Okay, yeah, so then we can't deploy any of the Dryad stuff. Yeah, that would be crazy, because we still have Zazuza lands to play, and we'd be able to, like, just play, like, a bounce land over and over again and just do a bunch of bolting, and, like, that might just be lethal after a Hasty Titan, so might have just actually staved off lethal, and 2 Urza Sagas are quickly being reached for John. And I guess maybe that's the best thing we're doing if we can't do anything else. Just get those going. You can start making constructs to block if everything goes bad. Force of Vigor just got deployed, so you're not really worried about that. Blood Moon's the only consideration. He would have played it if he had one, I imagine. So, yeah, I guess Urza Sagas it is. Both on 1 counter. Tapped, and back over to Ethan we go. Not going to use any of the additional land drops, even though I think we had some. Doesn't really get anywhere with the bounce land. Guess our plan is to gone the Primeval Titan. That's exactly what we're going to do. Back to hand goes Primeval Titan. Attack for 8. And John at 11. This 1 ring damage starting to look kind of relevant. And down to 7, thanks to Aborto Grazer absorbing some of the damage. 2 more life lost to 5 on upkeep, thanks to the 1 ring.
Oh yeah, sorry.
And we have a draw step and 2.
I was at 11. I took 5 last turn, went to 6. Now I'm at 4.
Precious ain't free, you know.
Precious certainly. No one knows that better than good old Smeagol, Golem, whichever you have. Uptick, uptick. Potential to make 2 constructs. We mentioned maybe not being able to get them to 5/5s. It could happen pretty quickly here, but
So
I don't know if that's good enough to really get anything done.
I think what can happen this turn is you cast Primeval Titan, or suppose you play Dryad Valise and Grove first.
Okay.
You play the Battle Kit from your hand, it shoots something, then you play Titan. It gets kind of convoluted what you should exactly do. I think all roads lead to either John casting another 1 ring to reset the 1 ring, like this.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to decide to do. Yeah, that's probably got to be the safest, right? You know nothing's going to get you, and maybe you can deploy like your first Dryad or whatever. Just kind of like, we have 3 Dryads. Start deploying some of these. Maybe make some bozos off of the sagas. Like, you can start doing something scrappy because you get a turn on the house thanks to the 1 ring, which is, I mean, I guess really kind of the power of the card. Because here is the first Dryad of the Elysian Grove. There's Valakut. That's definitely going to have a trigger. And Ethan says, no, thank you. I am not interested in playing this game anymore. So much respect for that. Ethan sees the writing on the wall. Primeval Titan plus Azusa land drops. Yeah, we're probably just dead to non-combat stuff over the course of the game, and that is going to do it for game number 2. And we get a game number 3 between these 2 decks. Been kind of grindy. Not really what I've expected too much.
So I think that game, you saw the issue, what happens when 2 4/4 Rhinos isn't good enough, and that is an example of what happened that game.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and a stark difference from the Shardless Agent thing that we called out in game 1, right? That 2 extra power can really come up to matter. I don't even know if we had Shardless Agent, if maybe it would have gotten there. We did live at 4 or whatever. But still, I mean, it's a big difference, and maybe Fire Ice can finish them off, that kind of stuff. You get more lines and more availability to you when you're able to lead on Shardless Agent versus Violent Outburst. It is a noticeable difference. I think that came up really, really importantly there, alongside, of course, just being on the play with the 1 ring. And, oh boy, that card is strong.
One
sideboard.
One awkward thing about that game was the commandeer didn't actually look very good because we didn't really have the blue cards to push to it. Obviously, Lorien Reveal it's supposed to address to some degree, but the blue count may not be that high without, saving extra Murktides or whatever. It might just not actually be functional if you actually look at how many blue cards are left in the deck.
Yeah, once again, we don't have access to deck lists. I do not know the total blue card count, but we are cutting Mystical Disputes, right? We're cutting Mystical Disputes. It looks like we're cutting some of the Murktide stuff as well. Like, that is some amount of the supplement for our blue card count. And without that, how many of those cards that are we going to want to pitch? How many of those are we going to have cast already when the 1 ring comes down? Thinking, of course, about like Shardless Agent comes down on 3, 1 ring's a 4-mana card, that kind of sequence. Like, maybe we do just need to have Mystical Disputes in our deck if our plan is to commandeer. Not sure. I'm sure Ethan will be able to figure it out. Ethan is the person sitting at 9-1, but certainly looks costly of a card to have in your deck in that game because the exact sequence you mentioned came down, 1 ring, resolved. But we had Commandeer in hand, couldn't pitch cast it, didn't have 6 mana, didn't work. And the 1 ring was able to carry John to victory almost on its own. That extra turn was huge. And then, of course, found another 1 ring like it's wont to do. You get to reset, you get another fog, and that's the play pattern we've come to expect with a deck that is high in density with the 1 rings.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's Moment's Peace meets Harmonize is the way I like to put it.
both just super fun cards, known for how fun they are, just getting fogged over and over again. Nothing works.
That's why you need some questing beasts, bro.
Sure, modern. You know what? I can't make fun of questing beasts as long as that's the stuff going on. And I'd be probably the one questing beasts. I love questing beasts. The card is so cool. I want to put that card in my deck. Ethan seems to disagree. No questing beasts for Ethan.
I would also like to point out, John that game had Gemstone Caverns, but was on the play. Ethan was on the draw and had Gemstone Caverns. It was like Ethan almost had the initiative being on the draw.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Gemstone Caverns for Ethan was better than the one for John. It's just actually, basically the play. As here is Crumbling Vestige, makes a mana, gonna deploy Amulet. Crashing Footfalls was suspended on turn 1 thanks to Stomping Ground, and over to Ethan we go for turn 2. We've seen Ice every game so far. Let's see if we're gonna see that play pattern happen once again. After the turn 1 Amulet, Misty Rainforest gonna be played and cracked very quickly.
Yeah.
Suggests potentially playing something here. And it's going to be Island again. We saw this exact sequence from game number 1. All it's missing is the ice to really get the party started. You see John being like, all right, are we doing this again? Ethan says, yeah, we sure are. Ice that land. No, thank you. Card coming for John. We'll see if we can, figure something out for this turn despite being down a mana. I see a Grazer among other cards. Looks like a Simic Growth Chamber being deployed and going to be untapped. Yep. Vestige back to hand. Make blue-green. Arboreal Grazer's the play. Trigger, put Vestige into play. That will untap and make a mana. 2 mana coming. That's going to be enough for a Dryad Elysian Grove. Okay.
This is fireworks. This is Amulet as, I guess, whoever Richard Garfield intended. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Garfield's letting any of these cards. There's no way. I don't know. What does Garfield think of the bounce lands? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, wow. The ice supposed to constrict some of the mana. And now, John's still able to deploy 2 creatures and have 2 bounce lands into play at the end of turn 2. Wow, what a hand. And there's Shardless Ancient. The follow-up of Crashing Footfalls already on 2, so more Rhinos kind of dialed up. Here comes 10 power and toughness off Crashing Footfalls. Found 3rd card down. Gonna cast that.
So, do you think 10 power is better than the Amulet Titan setup? I don't. I think the Amulet Titan setup is going to easily dominate this if there's this Primeval Titan in hand.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, does the Amulet Titan setup have anything else? 10 power and toughness, if this is it, if both players are empty-handed right now, I like Ethan's spot. Sure. But both players are not empty-handed, and as a result, the threat of whatever potential follow-up that John has is really scary. And that is the Summoner's Pack, so now I really do not like the Rhino spot one bit. Now, Ethan's had a pretty good job of having some of these pitch cast cards, subtleties and force negations and stuff like that to back up his plays. We'll see. He's going to need another one here, because that is definitely a Primeval Titan on the way. John doing some quick counting on mana. Have multiple land drops this turn with an Amulet in play. It's a good spot to be. Don't think that changes what you're grabbing. I mean, if he has a Valakut and a bounce land, maybe there's a universe you grab Dryad? It still sounds crazy to me.
Well, is there really a point in getting a second Dryad most of the time? I guess it's
extra land drops in case it dies. We're grabbing Cultivator Colossus, which would suggest to me that John's hand is entirely land.
Reshuffle, I saw the bottom card. Putting it down. That's not
why, where else are we that's what we're doing?
The reason I think to get a second Dryad is to play around Force of Vigor, but I think if Ethan had a Force of Vigor, the Dryad nor Amulet would have survived to John's turn. So you can
we would do that on upkeep or whatever.
Use both land drops, sorry.
Alright, so 2 land drops, make red green, cast Cultivator Colossus. Alright, Ethan, any subtleties? We do! We have subtlety! Pitching Lorien revealed! Well, that's going to put Cultivator Colossus back on top. The Growth Chamber's back in hand, and now a Blood Moon is lethal. We have a pack to pay for. Oh, we don't have it, but we have a Beseiju. Is that enough?
Dead?
Can we Beseiju one of these bounce lands? That's what we're doing. Oh my gosh!
So I was thinking I packed. Because I was thinking...
I did.
Oh
I was
my
going to die to pack trigger and upkeep because I Beseiju.
He died a Summoner's Pack because he couldn't pay!
Man.
Oh my gosh! Wow. I don't, you don't see that much anymore. The alternate packed wins, but when you do, It's so wild.
That's some
Oh,
real Lightning Helix energy vibes right there, you know? Oh my
Yeah.
god, it's the Deji who endures!
Doesn't have the same ring to it. It's such a mouthful. No, Summoner's Pact.
I tried.
I appreciate it, you know? Well, he also, did he top deck it? I don't even know what he drew. I didn't see. Wow, that's crazy. The ability, I mean, having the subtlety, first of all, to shut down the whole Cultivator Colossus line to begin with. And then we used all the lands with the Grille Turf in order to even cast the Cultivator Colossus. So we didn't even have a single extra land. So Besager was exactly enough to get it done. What a match. An impressive performance from Ethan once again. And now, your probably favorite part of this round, we're going to go get to see David Shields, someone that you mentioned, going to be a fan of the creativity deck. And there it is, the 5-color creativity versus a fan favorite of mine specifically, Rule Scape Shift in the hands of Jacob Kirsch. Big Scape Shift fan am I. I know nothing about this matchup, but it feels like it's got to be not great.
It's kind of weird because I think the creativity deck takes a lot of damage from its lands, but I don't think that's what the matchup really revolves around. It's sort of a weird big spell mirror in a lot of ways where Dave's plan is to resolve basically what's the equivalent of Tooth and Nail for some number of Archon Cruelty, which is generally going to win the game. It looks like there are some Terracodons coming in, which seems really effective.
No. Yeah, that card seems really good.
Change to the equation is very, very good here because it's basically a hard counter for everything in the Ghoul Scapeshift deck. And I guess you could make a case for Terra Sunder, I'm not sure about that. And maybe Nature's Claim, I'm also not sure about that. It really depends on what Dave feels like he can shave.
Yeah, you mentioned Dave, huge fan of the creativity deck. I'm sure. I don't know how much experience he has against Ghoul Scapeshift specifically, but have to imagine if anyone has the chops to navigate it in unfamiliar territory, it's going to be Dave. As you see, Ren and 6 is being pulled to the front as potentially part of the sideboard strategy. You mentioned the damage from lands not mattering too much. It matters to like the first 2 points, right? Because the Scapeshift kill from 18 is specifically a thing that matters.
Yeah, but the problem with Dave's deck is since you're a Dwarven Mind mana base, you're always basically going to be forced down to 17 every game. That's why I say it doesn't actually matter, because it's basically impossible for it to matter given how the creativity mana base is structured.
Yeah, it's just never going to be consideration. You're functionally always at 18. Your Scapeshift for 7 lands is lethal. No other anything else going on. Doing a lot of thinking on these Terracodons. Are they maybe not in the deck right now? Maybe not part of the game?
He's thinking about what to cut, I think is what's going on here. It's really just a matchup about, I think, for Dave's side, you want to do something over the top very quickly because you don't want it to go long enough where Scapeshift, like a pair of running Scapeshifts kills you or something like that.
Sure. Yeah, because that's part of the problem, right? Look, Scapeshift, when it does its big spell thing, specifically Scapeshift, Primeval Titan sometimes can take an extra turn, but specifically Scapeshift, that's on the spot. You're dead. When that card resolves, you're just dead. There's not really any counterplay to it. Whereas when you're resolving creativity, it's much closer to the Primeval Titan draw from the Scapeshift deck, where you're going to need a turn because maybe you put some Archons in play, whatever, they discard their hand. If they still have draws, if they draw sometimes just a mountain, you can just die because there's multiple Valakuts or whatever. And being able to really, first of all, power that out. Second of all, have enough interaction that it's good enough is got to be part of the plan. So what is the configuration that assembles that? I don't know. The Scapeshift deck has changed actually a lot since I played a lot of it in my time.
So there's a few notable cards from both those. One thing I love that's not very obvious, Dave cut Lightning Bolt versus Jacob, and I love that. I think so many times people leave in Lightning Bolt where it's the equivalent of Lava Spike. That's not what the game is about from Dave's side. Or it's from Jacob's side, Lightning Bolt makes a lot more sense to keep in to maybe physical creativity on a token or something like that.
Ooh, yeah.
So, in terms of how Ghoul Scapeshift has changed over the years, I think a card you're very likely to see is Wish from Adventures from Forgotten Realms, which is a 2 and a red sorcery, which basically lets you choose a card from your sideboard to play this turn.
Okay. And then with 7 mana, you get to cast a Scapeshift from your sideboard, and that's usually going to be good enough, especially in this matchup. So Wish representing just extra copies of Scapeshift, so you can play whatever, up to 7
or Valkits or Nature's Claim or something. Normally you wouldn't have access to those cards in game 1, but with something like Wish, you're adding 2 and a red to your mana cost for it, but it is more versatility.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I like it a lot. Sounds good to me. Didn't get a great look at Jacob's hand. Looks like a bunch of lands and spells, and that's basically the like. That's not the mixture for every deck. That's definitely the mixture for Girl Scape Ship. As we pass over to the creativity enthusiast, expert even, Dave Shields, and he's going to start on Wooded Foothills. Fetch lands for both players. Stalling Tarn going to be cracked on end step. Have to imagine this is going to be a stomping ground. Coming into play 10. Sometimes this deck can fetch basics a little aggressively, especially when there was more non-basic land hate specifically available in the format. These days, not as much. Stomping ground could be fun.
I think if you were playing against something like Murktide, you'd be more interested in maybe like figuring out how to avoid Blood Moon, because that's obviously a primary weapon versus you. Versus Dave Shields, well, you know he's a Dwarven Mind mana base. It's really not that easy for him to do something like Blood Moon you know?
Yeah, then your stuff doesn't even work at all. And like all your lands are mountains of the non-basic variety, and your deck's not even that red. It's really only creativity that needs all the red. Yeah, that's kind of brutal. Follow up for Jacob here as we go into his turn is going to be basic mountain into explore.
It's good.
Yep, that one's going to resolve. Extra card coming for Jacob. Extra land drop coming for Jacob. It's going to be a Wooded Foothills. Is very quickly cracked for a suspend search for tomorrow. So this is going to grab some flavor of Greenland, which is going to suspend search for tomorrow. It's going to be another copy of Stomping Ground. It's going to lose 2 more life points. We're Jacob down to 17. And we're going to pass back to Dave. Sorry, down to 16. It fetched twice again.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think damage really matters in this matchup from either player. I think generally when both people do their thing, it's usually overkill one or the other.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what is the threshold when you're talking about a creativity for like 1 or 2? What is the threshold of life that you care about as far as maybe being able to survive an attack from the Archon of Cruelties?
It has to be a lot, because your hand gets emptied out very quickly as well, which is the other issue.
Right, yeah, I mean, you don't have any cards, so you basically need to have it on board and not be creatures or planeswalkers, which, I mean, Scape Ship can do. Valakut's kind of thing with, like, some fetch lands or something, like maybe you draw a land, but, yeah, not optimistic. Getting attacked by Archons, yeah, I guess I didn't really consider the sacrifice and discard not survivable.
There's a reason that, I think one of the reasons creativity is so good in general is that when you do it for 2, it's basically Cruel Ultimatum.
Yeah, sure. That's a good comparison. Just do it all. Mountain going to be added for Jacob. Every land's been a mountain, so Valakut looking like it's going to be on the line. 3 mana tapped. Is this going to be Dry to the Elysian Grove? Sure is. We'll see if Dave has anything to say about that one. He called out Change the Equation as a card that should be present in the 5-color creativity deck in the sideboard. And was that just a pass in the turn afterwards? No land follow-up?
Yeah, that's kind of a disaster. Like, you and I both know, one of the critical things about the Scape Ship deck is to getting to 6 lands for, Primeval Titan. In this case, 6 lands would turn on Dryad of the Elysian Grove Valakut.
Yeah,
which
Valakut
is
triggers, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no. So no 5th land. I mean, you got the 6th one we know coming from Search for Tomorrow. Really this is where something like you called out, Wish for Valakut is almost like a really good play. Getting everything online, giving your 6th land drop, and specifically being Valakut is going to get triggered right away. But just another Triome for Dave Shields. I believe Xander's Lounge and Rafine's Tower, but can't get a great look.
Well, it's almost probably not Rafine's Tower because everything has to be a mountain.
Okay, so it's probably Getmir's Garden? Is that the other one?
I mean, I know one of them is probably Xander's Lounge. I do not know what the other one is. Maybe chat can tell us.
Chat. Get us covered for sure. Steven's added to the mix as well. All the full art lands, beautiful lands with Dave Shields. And we're going to pass back right away. 3 mana up for Dave. No play. Haven't played any spells this game so far. Jacob take a lot of game action. Search for Tomorrow resolves, grabbing another mountain. Up to 5 lands is Jacob. Looks like, yeah, Grixis and Naya is what the chat is saying. So that would be Jetmir's Garden and Xander's Lounge. And did we find land number 6? Attack with Dryad. Okay. Yeah, okay, says Dave, I'll take that. That is not lethal. Bolts in hand among other things. Oh, there's land number 6. What is that? Sakura Tribe-Elder. Sakura Tribe-Elder is going to be cast off Double Mountain thanks to Dryad Elysian Grove. Let's see if there's any other follow-up. If we have Scape Shift here, I mean, Dryad lives. It's lethal. Actually, Dryad doesn't even need to live. We have a Sakura Tribe-Elder we can sacrifice.
Yeah.
So we don't have Scape Shift, or we cast it, so we're just passing the turn back. I know. I think there's at least one bolt.
So the reason not to cast it is Spell Pierce, I think, which is commonly played in the Creativity deck. Might as well just wait a turn. Although, if Jacob had land plus Scape Shift, he would have just cast it first to play around the Spell Pierce, right? So I think you can pretty much write off Scape Shift being in his hand.
Well, yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. And this is Shadow Prophecy here on Instep. I think we have it all. Xander's Lance was Jetmir's Garden. Should be the full 5. It looks like the full 5. 3 cards already reached forward to hit the bin. 2 looks like they're going to be pulled to the hand. Can't get a great look at them. Definitely look like spells to me.
My turn.
As we pass back to Dave. Untap.
Shadow Prophecy doing a great impression of Dig Through Time right there.
Dig Through Time, yeah. That card looks very powerful. And there is the very powerful Spell Pierce as well that you called out. A lot of other spells among the mist. Terra, Sunder, Fable, getting a great look now.
The natural conclusion for someone like Dave is, okay, he must be holding on to reactive cards right here. It's pretty easy to suss that out, I think.
Yeah, and there's Terra Sunder. That one can take care of the Dryad without having to extend the modes at all. So exile Dryad Elysian Grove. Now, Dave counting cards in hand. Yep, we're good. Don't have to discard. Back to you, Jacob. Very patient from Dave. Really to take the game. Yeah, it's 2 bolts in hand. Question was the draw. We on Sakura Tribe-Elder beatdown. Yeah, boom! Steve beatdowns. Love to see it.
You know what I'm excited for? Maybe Dwarven Mine beatdowns from Jacob's deck. Occasionally, the Valkid deck plays some number of Dwarven Mines because it's useful to fetch up as a blocker. You can't fetch it off of a blocker off Primeval Titan because the Dwarven Mine comes in play tapped, and it only triggers if the land is untapped.
Oh, okay. We're going to fetch now. See if we're going to reach for some Dwarven Mines. Actually had the availability if we were going to do the Dwarven Mine thing to make the Dwarven Mine token and block. Force the crack. Chose not to do that. Going to instead keep the token around because we are fetching a Dwarven Mine.
Hope you get the next one, man.
Here comes
So
Dwarf.
I was thinking I passed.
Maybe we're going to trade some damage back and forth. Dwarf versus Sakura Tribe-Elder. Big spell decks, you called them. These are some big spells.
Oh, man! You top deck that?
No, I had the Seiju. I had the Seiju.
No, because I was
Over
thinking I was
to
supposed to
Dave
pass that.
we go. Draw step looked to be Arid Mesa. Fable appears to be being pulled to the front. Maybe it's time to get some of that action
Yeah, I
started.
think you're supposed to, like...
2-2, real good against the 1-1 Sakura Tribe-Elder to the extent that's a thing that matters at all.
No, it's like Vestige instead of the second.
I think Fable might bait out the Lightning Bolts, which is what Dave would be interested in. I don't think he's going to go for the creative this turn. I'm pretty sure Dave...
Does he even have one?
So in my head,
He doesn't have one either, so I guess that's an actual reason not to go for it. If he doesn't have
Well,
it.
Fable finds one, so if that's part of the equation as well, you know, make another mind token, maybe the second chapter of Fable can kind of dig you closer to it. Let's see exactly what he decides to do. Is both Dwarven Mines getting tapped very quickly. Bitter Reunion, the card we're going to reach for instead. Discarding Stomping Ground. There's the creativity and an Archon. Well, that's not what the doctor ordered.
Kind of wonder how many big creatures Dave has in the deck. I think some number of Terracodons are probably in, but I don't know how many creatures big creatures you go to total. Because the natural conclusion is to cut some Archons for Terracodons, right?
Yeah. That way you can have it checked, basically guarantee that you're going to get the untap, and then of course the elephants get sacrificed by the Archon. They actually play well together, despite not really seeming as much.
No, it's not that I don't. Because I have a suit. The thing
Give you an elephant, make you sack the elephant.
Yeah, nice. Build your own Stone Ring. And speaking of, Stomping Ground to pick up. No payoff at all for Jacob. And now...
I'm sure you've played enough with Scape Shift that this sort of game is not uncommon for the deck. Mostly because the deck is like 34 mana sources or whatever, which can be problematic. And that's also the issue sometimes with having a card like Lightning Bolt in the deck, because it's not filtering, it's not a big card, it's just a 1-for-1 removal spell, you know?
Oh, you exactly nailed it. When I used to play this kind of a deck, I used to play a lot of Sweltering Suns to try to help supplement the bolts and not have to do that much, because at least you could 3-mana cycle when you're in spots like this. Although, the 2 bolts are going to come out big if we go for a creativity for 2. Although I doubt Dave's going to short up there. There's no rush, really, as if he has anything covered, which I think some cards in it, imagine he does. But, yeah, I mean, these games go all the time. You have to trust the deck to give you a payoff spell eventually. And people talk about filtering in Magic a lot, like just fetching to thin. When you are playing all these rampant growth effects, and you have specifically such a critical mass of them, it actually does begin to do a relevant amount of thing as far as lands go, and you do become a lot more likely to draw payoff if you on.
Well, the thing is, like, it's not fetching 1 or 2 lands, does it? If you fetch like 5 or 6 times, then it starts to add up.
Exactly. You
reality. So I think Dave is trying to figure out what is Jacob hang on to. I'm pretty sure Dave realizes there's at least 1 rule spell. He may not think that there's 2. We're just kind of figuring out, can we take another turn to play Fable, try to set up, cast a big creativity? It also is a question of, again, how many targets we have left in the deck. If we don't have enough targets, casting creativity for a bigger number doesn't work out, except versus removal. So it's a lot to think about. I've known Dave for a long time. He does tend to think everything out. Sometimes a little bit on the slow side, but he generally makes the right decision in the end.
Sure, and we're going to go ahead and make a 3rd mine, and I think this spells creativity, yeah, based on that mana tapping, it certainly is, and that's going to be creativity for 2, and now the 2 lightning bolts, I assume, have to come down.
Yep.
And that looks to be exactly what we're going to do. Bolt 1, and the Spell Pierce is going to be able to defend it all, so with both bolts finally coming out, we're going to be able to stop this creativity from happening around Spell Pierce. And the way that Jacob's actually sequenced this game, if he draws Primeval Titan, having Secure Tri-Melter plus the Wooded Foothills just dialed up might be enough. That's 12 right away. You just get 2 Valakans.
I think I saw him side out some number of things with the One Ring.
One Ring, hell.
That makes sense. That makes sense in this deck. It alleviates all of the ramp problems, really.
Yeah, if you're stuck in that weird, like, 4 or 5 mana spot without enough lands, I mean, this gets you the lands, this gets you the payoff, this does it all, and buys you the life you needed to get it done. And we're going to very quickly just tap that One Ring, get another card coming right away. And it's another copy of the One Ring. Well, that should buy quite a bit of time. And we have enough lands that even creativity, again, isn't even that scary. Deployed Stomping Ground as land for turn. And that looks like it's going to be it. Pass back to Dave, who, after having the creativity stopped by the double lightning bolts, which we were like, yeah, well, these aren't payoff. I mean, they kept Jacob alive there. We will see if this One Ring can do enough. We've seen it be very impressive on camera so far today. Can it be enough to power through the interaction and any follow-ups that Dave may have on this turn? Take a good look at the draw step.
It's awful.
I thought it was a changed equation drawn for turn, but it's kind of hard to tell.
That one would play for sure. Gonna be a little awkward underneath the One Ring. Scalding Charm, the land for turn. I would have thought about that one there. You mentioned deliberate play. Very, very deliberate with each of these lightning drops. And I think that may be one of the underrated aspects of playing this deck is how important sequencing your lands is. Here comes Fable, the Mirror Breaker. Got to make the Goblin Shaman token everybody knows, everybody loves. Well, most people love, I guess. I don't even know if it's most people. A lot of people. That's what I'm going to go with.
I think the Fable / Goblin thing is, I love it if I have it, and I don't like it if my opponent has it.
Fair. I think a lot of Magic cards are like that. The One Ring, all these other cards. Yeah. How many cards are you liking if your opponent has them? Like lands, I guess? Oh, beatdowns. Yeah, give them a taste. You gonna trade? You gonna trade now? No? All right, not interested? Go. Oh, I have protection for everything. All right, you got it.
I think Dave probably slightly forgot. It's easy to forget that one.
A lot has happened. And,
yeah.
and frankly, it doesn't really matter one way or the other. You can just block with the Goblin Shaman as we go back to Jacob. Taking a point from One Ring, going to very quickly draw 2 cards with the One Ring. Going to respond here.
No, it's a Leyline Binding. Or it's a Terra Sunder response. You still get 1 card due to last known information.
Oh, okay, but we didn't get the counter on, so we only get 1 card, which, I mean, that's going to be powerful. Wait, do we not get cards at all? Did we draw?
Wait. Did he not get the 1 card? I think he should still get the 1 card.
Yeah, I didn't get a great look if he got the card or not. He probably should have gotten one of them. As here comes a second copy of the One Ring. Maybe
Right.
Jordan, I just didn't see it. I mean, there was a lot of hand movements that happened quickly there.
I hope this doesn't affect the outcome. It kind of looks to me that Jacob will probably still win, so I hope it doesn't affect it. But generally, I don't think that's something you can miss in that regard.
I don't know if we have the ability. This is a backup feature match.
Yeah.
Some amount of this, I think, is pre-recorded. So we'll see. We'll see if they resolve it or not. It is on the players at the end of the day. And we're going to leyline binding in response to the draw on the One Ring on the opponent's turn, which is going to take care of that one as well. So these Terra Sounders have looked great. Leyline binding going to come up big. Don't even get a card off that one for sure. And I didn't see a draw there at all. So we will see what happens. Cannot stop the match if there to check to see if there was a card drawn. Once again, I didn't get a great look. Would have to go back and check to even see.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit unfortunate. I think what should have happened was Jacob should have drawn the one card. I kind of hope the outcome of the game is not affected by it, but now that the second One Ring is dealt with, I think there's a reasonable chance that it does affect the outcome.
Yeah, I mean, certainly when you're talking about Titan Shift, every single draw matters, and who knows what's one card deeper. As here goes 2 cards to the bin for Dave Shields, and 2 cards coming. Any creativities would be extremely impressive. This attack, especially with a Bitter Reunion play, would signal to me that there is no creativity as we've attacked the Goblin's Shaman. 2 damage going to come through. It doesn't matter because the protection effect is still in effect, even though the One Ring is no longer in play, and a treasure is going to be made for Dave. Back to Jacob. It looks like we are going to go.
So I think what's going to happen next turn is Dave's going to cast Archon and use the 9th mana to give it haste with Bitter Reunion, and that is almost certainly lethal.
Yeah, it's extremely lethal. Fetch Land is the card drawn for Jacob. That one's not going to get the job done. Now, like you said, Hardcast Archon maybe going to get there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's... This is another Shadow? Prismari command?
I'm going to.
That's 3 mana.
And
So yes.
That's got. I don't know if the other one was that's super lethal. I can tell you that, as we're reaching for mana very quickly. Jacob, looking on, a little distraught, I'd say, based on the body posture. Gonna fetch to 8 is Dave. And to think, like from this point, a single Valakut would have been lethal. I mean, Jacob's still sitting on 2 fetch lands and the Sakura Tribe Elder. Don't even need any big spells. A single Valakut from 9 is lethal.
on both the dwarves.
Nothing really Dave would even be able to do about that, but unfortunately, didn't find one all game. Reaching for 5 mana. It's going to be a creativity for 2, which looks like that one's going to happen right away. We're going to start flipping, and it's going to be Archon 1. Any Terracodons, or is it second Archon?
I think the first Archon's lethal because of the Fable thing anyway, so...
Oh, yeah, there's 2 Archons, and then we get a third one. Yeah, this is super lethal. Jacob sees the writing on the wall. He's going to concede in what was, I'd say, a pretty interactive game. A little bit of a, I'd say anticlimactic finish. A little bit of nothing going on for Jacob, not even attempted. And Dave Shields, the creativity enthusiast, expert, and as you'd say, I guess, a boomer Magic player, is going to go ahead and win this round, advancing to 9-2. And an impressive performance. He still got it. Give you hope, Jarvis. You still got it too? Not washed?
I mean, I took a shower, so I'm washed in that regard. But I don't think... I think I'm still pretty good at figuring out what should happen in a game of Magic, I would like to believe. Yeah, I think Dave and I have similar energies when it comes to Magic. Similar old man energies. But I kind of... Based on how the creativity and his draw slips went, I kind of wonder if he actually didn't end up siding in the Terracodons. Because if you think about it, suppose there were 2 Terracodons, 3 Archons in his deck. For him to see all of the Archons and not see a single Terracodon is kind of strange. So I kind of wonder if he just decided that Terracodon wasn't going to cut it because the Scapeshift deck can just ramp faster than that.
Yeah, I mean, that might be very well the plan. And like, even there, it's like, do you even blow up any lands? You just like blow up your own stuff, give those things haste, and then, now we're cooking.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe that does speak to the Terracodon not being good enough, despite what, on paper, it seems like blowing up land's good.
Right.
Well, Terracodon do that, but, that may not be what the match was about. And really, I guess, in that sense, it would be certainly an expression of experience in the matchup and understanding of the deck and its role in these kinds of big mana mirror matches.
Yeah, and also the thing about Spell Pierce versus the Explorer. Maybe Dave had already seen a bunch of One Rings in game 1, so he was holding on to Spell Pierce for that. It certainly was kind of awkward for him that game, because obviously the Spell Pierce got out-ramped, but I think that's maybe what he was thinking about when he didn't... If he had the Spell Pierce for the Explorer, I think that's probably what he was thinking about.
Yeah, almost certainly. And like you said, I mean, ended up not really mattering, and maybe that's to the extent of showing that Dave had it by more than just a little bit. Impressive performance there. Either way, that will do it for round number 11 of the modern event here, this 20K in Columbus that we are, of course, covering. Thanks to Anurag. I believe we're about to cut to a break, or Anurag, whichever comes next. You know, Anurag loves to show up whenever he feels like it is his stream after all. But either way, we'll be back with more modern action here for round number 12 very, very shortly. Do not go anywhere. Thank you all.